Yo, welcome to my new series where I'm gonna sit here and just talk about college football. Picks, the long picks videos, that's dead. For two reasons. A, nobody watched them, which I don't care actually, but like that's just like something I could like say as a reason because it sounds nice. You feel me? Like, well, no one's watching this, so I'll go make it no more. That's not the real reason. Uh, sometimes I was reaching for games, reaching for upset of the weeks and stuff, and you don't need to reach for games when you don't need like to pick a game or when the game's not gonna be competitive and you're just picking. Well, Alabama's playing Arkansas this week. Let's see if the Bama's gonna lose to Arkansas. Like, I mean, I was a one possession game, and we'll get to that in a second. But like, that's not the point. The point is like, there's no point in reaching for games that I ain't need to reach for. Uh, yeah. So let's get right into it. Ohio State. Yeah, let's get right into what I want to talk about. Ohio State, the best offense in the country, destroyed Michigan State. So this means a few things, right? This means Michigan State's not going to the Big Ten championship for sure. Wait, they got one. Yeah, no, they got two Big Ten losses, so they're not going for sure. They're not going to the playoff for sure. Two losses, and it also means that Ohio State's resume is going to get built up. For sure. And it also means Kenneth Walker III. His Heisman hopes are dead. He had 6 carries for 25 yards in the biggest game of the season, so he's not winning Heisman. So as much as people wanted to say, well, this will look like a Heisman win for C.J. Stroud, no one's really gonna look at it like that just because the stats are what they are. Like no one really looks at that as something that's gonna change the story or anything. I think Bryce Young is still the front runner. C.J. Stroud, he had a great game. Obviously, he missed 3 passes and had 6 touchdowns. He played amazing, and I think one of the biggest takeaways that we have from this game is just this Ohio State offense is almost unguardable. Like you have 3 potential 1,000-yard receivers. I think 2 of them already at 1,000. Garrett Wilson looks like the best receiver in the country. Chris Olave looks unstoppable. And Jackson Smith-Njigba is just like quietly like a top 5 receiver in the country that no one wants to acknowledge just because the two dudes in front of him are the 2 best receivers in the country. Like it's really crazy how stacked that receiver room is. And then to even elevate like how deep we know this receiver room already is. Like the number 1 recruit in the country, Julian Fleming from 2 years ago, he's the wide receiver 4. Wide receiver 5, Marvin Harrison Jr. Name sound familiar? He's nice. He was a 5-star. So like just the depth in that receiver room. And if you want to talk about more about the depth, we can go look at Alabama's number 1 receiver right now, Jameson Williams, and he's like destroying Alabama single season school records. He's like 5th in yards and 9th in touchdowns at Alabama, like in the history of Alabama for single season, which is just insane. He just goes there 1 year, and he was a wide receiver 4 last year. So he transferred for a bigger role, and now he's gonna be a borderline first round pick, likely second, third round, just because there's so many good receivers in this draft. Drake London, who got hurt for USC, is obviously gonna be in that conversation. He was eating this season before obviously he got hurt. But yeah, Ohio State did destroy Michigan State. Something else we definitely need to talk about is Oregon. They went to Utah and they got destroyed, 38-7. Like that's not a that's not a good look. So essentially, Bama squeaked by, and we can talk about that in a second because I like Arkansas as a team. But Oregon looks like trash, man. I mean, their quarterback Anthony Brown. I like A13 ski. You know what I'm saying? He's from Jersey. He's like that, but 17 for 35, 1 touchdown. Yikes. I mean, but Utah, they only scored on the ground. They didn't have any passing touchdowns, and then it was just a bad game for Oregon. Like it came out flat, and like it was like 28-zip at half. It was just a bad performance for them as a whole. Travis Dye, who's become somewhat of a breakout star ever since C.J. Verdell went out with an injury for the season. Ever since he went out for injury, Travis Dye has been really, really good, and he just didn't look like great on Saturday. It was kind of weird to see just a team like Oregon get stomped like that. They threw the ball a lot more times than they ran it, and they're a team built for running the ball, just the way like they're orchestrated. Their front seven looked weak. They allowed 200 rushing yards, and they have 3 future first rounders in their front seven, and Troy Dye, Noah Sewell, and Kayvon Thibodeau. So it was just a weird game for Oregon. Um, I want to talk about Bama too. Oh, let's just acknowledge this first. Georgia beat Charleston Southern 56-7, and Ohio State beat Michigan State 56-7. So basically, the analogy is Ohio State is to Michigan State as Georgia is to Charleston Southern, right? All right. Bama versus Arkansas was also a good game. I was going back and forth. Bryce Young had like 560 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. I think even though C.J. Stroud looked so great against such a great team on Saturday, you for sure have to look at Alabama and Bryce Young and be like, Bryce Young is the Heisman at this point. I think that's almost set in stone. He does have to beat Georgia though, because I don't think you can give it to him if they lose to Georgia. I think then CJ will probably get it. It's close though, because it's hard to determine who's gonna go where. And we were talking about Jameson Williams earlier. 8 receptions, 193 touchdowns. Jamo was like that. Like he's about that, and he's one of the best receivers in the nation. Like he's definitely in that top 5. I'll give you my top 5 right now. Right? Should I include Drake London? I'll include Drake London because if he's healthy, he's definitely in there. So I'll go 1, Garrett Wilson. 2, Chris Olave. 3, I'm gonna go Drake London. 4, I'll go Jackson Smith and Jigba, and 5 I'll go Jamo. Only reason I'm putting Jackson over Jamo is because Jackson. First of all, Jackson has better numbers on the season, so it's not just because Jackson made Jamo transfer, but like he's been better this season too. He's been more productive, despite him being a wide receiver 3. Them Ohio State receivers are just different this year. Like in that whole receiver room, like their top 5 receivers are ones at almost any other school. It's scary. It's scary. Like just the talent they've been able to recruit into that receiver room is crazy. Like that wide receiver U conversation is definitely opening up from just Alabama. And speaking of Alabama, Henry To'o, the transfer from Tennessee, he had a great game. 13 total tackles, 8 solo, 2 sacks, and 3 TFLs. Like, that's a great game. Obviously, Will Anderson, probably the best defensive player in the country at this point, and no one's really arguing that. I mean, most dominant. Kayvon's the best, but, like, in terms of... it's hard to describe, because what people do against Kayvon isn't what they do against Will Anderson. Like, Kayvon will legitimately get 3 linemen on him. Like, almost every play. At least 2. But... it's hard to double people from Alabama because everyone there is nice, obviously. But Will Anderson still had 11 tackles, 3.5 TFLs, and a sack. I mean, he's a beast. This Alabama team looks really good. I don't like, and I like Bama, obviously. I'm a Bama fan. But I don't know that this team is going to be able to win a national title this year. I think they do beat Georgia, though. I definitely think they beat Georgia. Georgia, they looked like their scores look cool. And their defense looks dominant, but their offense has looked really bad all season, and especially that Clemson game. We all at the time, and we've all kind of let that pass by. But like at the time, that Clemson game was like we were like, "Yo, Clemson is a team that's, great. They're a top 5 team. They're all this, and you only beat that team that they're 7-3 now. They should be ranked next week, but you only beat that team by 7, like." And that's a Clemson team that I think Ohio State beats by 3 scores, at least. I think Cincinnati beats Clemson right now. I think Alabama beats Clemson by a score or 2. I think Oklahoma Clemson is a good... I think Clemson beats Oklahoma. But I don't know. I don't think that Georgia is as unstoppable as they're made out to be. I think they're a really good team, but I just don't think that they're like this unstoppable force that's going to win the national championship. I think it's going to be tough for them. I could obviously be wrong, but that's what I see in them. Pittsburgh did seal their ticket to the ACC championship. Kenny Pickett in his last game in Heinz Field in the Panthers uniform because Steelers are looking at him apparently. What other games can we talk about here? Oh yeah, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they struggled against Iowa State for sure. They kind of looked like... they look kind of lost on offense. And that's hard to say about Oklahoma, but, as a team, I didn't even notice numbers look like this, right? But like as a team, they had 96 passing yards, and I knew they looked lost. Like I seen the game and stuff, but like 96 passing yards, it ain't feel like that. But gee whiz, like Caleb Williams was 8 for 18. Spencer Rattler came in and had one pass for 9 yards. That's like rough. Like that's not a good showing at all. And you know, Caleb Williams, we all like to say he's like that, and he is. He's definitely like that. But I don't know that we can keep saying, well, he's miles better than Spencer if he's doing this against the Iowa State team that hasn't proven to do much this year. Caleb did have 67 on the ground, and Kennedy Brooks had 115 on the ground. But that team needs to be better. Like, and I was advocating for Oklahoma to be a playoff team heavy. I think that's kind of dead now with the loss, even if they win out, which is kind of messed up because they're going to be a one-loss Power 5, and you got some two-loss Power 5s ahead of them. I'm interested to see how they rank Oklahoma compared to Michigan State after this week. I think Oklahoma should be higher, but just off the record, but like they haven't looked like they're higher. If Oklahoma were to play Michigan State today, I think I got to go OU though. Just because they're a more complete roster right now. Michigan State, they're still like in that phase of rebuilding, and like they're getting the kids that they need to get in now, as opposed to getting them in like before. But yeah, that's definitely an interesting thing in terms of who will you rank higher between those two, and like how much do you value the Big Ten? How good do you really think Ohio State is? Do you rank Ohio State 2? I would, over Bama right now, just because Bama only beat Arkansas by one score, and Ohio State beat the top 10 team by a lot more scores. But yeah, I think that's definitely a thing that the committee's gonna have to think about. Like, who's higher, Oklahoma or Michigan State?